Picture this: you send your friend a thoughtful, detailed text trying to help them with a problem. They read it and ghost you for 3 days. When they finally reply, it's just K. You're hurt. They're annoyed. Same conversation, completely opposite reactions. Here's what's actually happening, and it's going to change how you see every relationship in your life. Your brains are literally running on different operating systems, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how that works. And once you see it, you'll never look at people the same way again. Hey everyone, welcome back. So that situation I just described? That's happened to me more times than I can count. And for years, I thought people were just being difficult. But then I learned something that changed everything. There are 4 invisible forces controlling why people act the way they do. And here's the crazy part: most people have no idea these forces even exist. They're just walking around confused about why everyone else is so weird. But you're about to crack the code. Let me introduce you to Sarah. She's someone a lot of you might know, or maybe you are Sarah. She's in her late 20s, has a good job, great friends. But here's the thing people don't understand about Sarah: at a party, she's energetic and social for exactly 1 hour. Then she disappears. No goodbye, no explanation. She just leaves. Her friends think she's flaky. Some think she doesn't like them. But the truth is way more interesting than that. By the end of this video, you're going to understand Sarah completely. And more importantly, you're going to understand yourself and the people in your life in a way that changes everything. Your personality operating system. So here's what's happening with Sarah at that party. After 1 hour, her brain is literally overheating. Not metaphorically, actually overheating. Sarah is what psychologists call a true introvert. And before you say, "Oh, I know what that means," hold on, because most people get this wrong. Being an introvert doesn't mean you're shy or antisocial. Here's what it actually means. Sarah's brain processes social stimulation more intensely than an extrovert's brain. Every conversation, every laugh, every new person, her brain is working so hard that after an hour, her thoughts start to feel fuzzy. She can't remember names anymore. She's smiling, but inside she's screaming, "I need silence." Her social battery isn't just low, it's in the red, blaring warning signals. She's mentally exhausted the same way you'd be physically exhausted after running a marathon. Meanwhile, her extroverted friend Mark is at the same party, and his brain is doing the opposite. Social interaction literally gives him energy. The more people, the better. At the end of the night, Mark is pumped up and wants to hit another party. Sarah wants to go home and not speak to another human for 12 hours. Same party. Same hour. Completely different neurological experiences. This is personality in action. And it's not just about being introverted or extroverted. Some people are naturally more conscientious, they thrive on structure and planning. Others are more spontaneous and creative, rigid schedules make them feel trapped. Some people handle stress like water off a duck's back. Others feel it intensely and need more time to recover. But here's where it gets wild: these aren't just preferences. Brain imaging studies show that introverts and extroverts literally have different levels of cortical arousal. Sarah's baseline arousal is already high, so additional stimulation overwhelms her. Mark's baseline is lower, so he seeks out stimulation to feel normal. Think about your own life for a second. Are you someone who needs to decompress alone, or do you process your day by talking to people? That's not a choice you're making, that's your operating system. Your childhood programming. Okay, so we've got Sarah's personality. But there's another layer. Let's rewind to Sarah at age 7. Sarah's parents were well-meaning but anxious people. Every time young Sarah tried something new, climbing a tree, talking to strangers, speaking up in class, her parents' faces showed worry. They didn't mean to, but the message Sarah internalized was, new things are dangerous. Unknown situations are threatening. It's safer to hold back. Fast forward to adult Sarah. She gets invited to a networking event for her industry. Rationally, she knows it's a good opportunity. But here's what happens. Sarah walks into that room, and before she even gets through the door, her body knows something is wrong. Her throat tightens. Her hands start sweating. She can hear her mom's voice from 20 years ago, be careful. Don't trust strangers. Rationally, Sarah knows these are just coworkers. But her 7-year-old nervous system doesn't know that. Her heart races. That childhood programming kicks in, unknown people equals danger. Compare this to her coworker James. James's parents pushed him to try everything. Sports, music, meeting new people. When he failed or felt awkward, they said, "Great, you learned something." James walks into the same networking event and his body stays calm. His programming says, new situations are opportunities. Discomfort means growth. Same networking event. Sarah leaves after 20 minutes, feeling like she failed. James works the room for 2 hours and makes 3 new connections. Here's what's happening. Your childhood created neural pathways, literal highways in your brain that determine your automatic responses. Sarah's highway goes from new social situation straight to threat response. James's highway goes from new social situation to opportunity mode. And here's the part that used to make me angry until I understood it. You didn't choose these pathways. They were built before you were old enough to have a choice. But, and this is important, you can build new ones. It's just harder as an adult. Your brain chemistry. Alright, now we're getting into the stuff that honestly sounds like science fiction, but it's real. Let's go back to Sarah one more time. Sarah has naturally lower levels of dopamine activity in her brain. Dopamine is your brain's reward chemical. It's what makes things feel exciting and worth pursuing. When Mark sees that party invitation, his brain releases dopamine. The anticipation feels good. The novelty feels good. His brain says yes, more of this. When Sarah sees the same invitation, her brain doesn't get that dopamine hit. Instead, her serotonin system, which regulates anxiety, starts firing. Her brain is running a different calculation. How much energy will this cost? What could go wrong? Do I have to go? They're looking at the same invitation. Their brains are producing completely different chemical responses. And here's what blew my mind when I learned this. You can't just think positive or choose to be more extroverted. You're working with actual chemicals here. Sarah's dopamine system isn't broken. It's just calibrated differently than Mark's. Now, brain chemistry can fluctuate based on sleep, diet, exercise, stress, even gut health. Sarah might be more social after a good night's sleep and a morning workout because those things temporarily boost her dopamine. But her baseline chemistry still makes her more introverted than Mark's baseline. This is why the same person can seem like 2 different people depending on the day. It's not that they're being fake, their chemistry is literally different. What you need right now. Okay, final layer. This one's sneaky because it changes all the time. Same Sarah. 2 different weeks. Week 1, Sarah just got promoted. She feels secure, accomplished, validated. She goes to a friend's party and actually enjoys herself. Stays for 2 hours. Has real conversations. People think, oh, Sarah's coming out of her shell. Week 2, Sarah's going through a breakup. She feels vulnerable and emotionally drained. She gets invited to the same friend's party. Just thinking about going makes her want to cry. She cancels last minute. What changed? Sarah's immediate needs changed. When her need for security and belonging was met, the promotion made her feel valued. She had energy to spend on social connection. When those needs felt threatened, the breakup shook her sense of stability. Her brain went into protection mode. All her energy went to feeling safe again. This is Maslow's hierarchy playing out in real time. You can't focus on self-actualization when you're worried about paying rent. You can't be vulnerable in relationships when you don't feel emotionally safe. Here's the thing people miss: the same person will behave completely differently depending on what they need in that moment. Your friend isn't flaky, they might be operating from a different level of need than you are. And remember that friend from the beginning? The one who ghosted your thoughtful text and replied with just K? Maybe they weren't being rude. Maybe they were in their own version of week 2, barely keeping it together, and didn't have the emotional bandwidth to respond thoughtfully. Your text wasn't the problem. The timing was. Their needs in that moment were about survival, not connection. So let's come back to Sarah at that party, leaving after 1 hour with no explanation. Now you understand. Her personality, introversion, means social situations drain her faster. Her brain literally processes stimulation more intensely. Her childhood programmed her to see new situations as mildly threatening. Those neural pathways were built before she could choose. Her brain chemistry doesn't reward social novelty the way Mark's does. Lower dopamine, higher anxiety response. Her current needs might be focused on rest and recharging, not connection, and those needs shift week to week. She's not rude. She's not flaky. She's not broken. She's working with a completely different set of variables than her extroverted friends. And here's the beautiful part: once you understand this about other people, you stop taking things personally. That friend who didn't reply to your text? Maybe they're not mad, maybe they're an internal processor who needs time to think before responding. That coworker who seems cold? Maybe they're just running on low serotonin and high stress today. And once you understand this about yourself, you stop thinking you're broken. You start working with your operating system instead of against it. And Sarah? Once she understands this about herself, she stops apologizing for leaving parties early. She stops forcing herself to be someone she's not. She just accepts her operating system and plans her life accordingly. She warns her friends, "Hey, I'll probably leave after an hour. It's not you, it's just how I'm wired." And everyone around her benefits because she's not running on empty anymore, resenting herself for being different. Okay, real quick before I tell you why this changes everything, I want you to pause and think, which force is running your show right now? Is it personality? Childhood programming? Brain chemistry? Unmet needs? Seriously, take 5 seconds and think about it. Got it? Now drop it in the comments because I read every single one, and here's why this matters. Here's what I need you to hear: you've been walking around thinking everyone else is weird, or that you're weird, or that people are just difficult for no reason. But now you know the truth. Everyone's running different software. Everyone's got different programming. Everyone's brain is mixing different chemicals. And everyone's trying to meet different needs. This isn't an excuse for bad behavior, but it is an explanation for why people do what they do. And once you see people through this lens, once you get curious instead of judgmental, everything gets easier. Your relationships improve because you stop expecting people to operate like you do. Your self-compassion increases because you stop beating yourself up for not being different. You stop wasting energy being frustrated about things that make perfect sense once you understand the science. Tomorrow, when someone behaves in a way that confuses you, you're not going to get annoyed. You're going to pause and think, I wonder which of those 4 forces is running the show right now. And that one shift from judgment to curiosity that changes everything. You're not broken. They're not broken. We're all just running different operating systems. And now you know how to read the code. If this video changed how you see people or yourself, hit that like button. And if you want more psychology that actually makes sense and helps you navigate real life, subscribe and turn on notifications. I've got more coming that's going to help you understand yourself and the people around you on a whole different level. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.